Hello, my name is Amy King, and I'm here to present my PLC implementation plan for Bryan Elementary School. The title of my plan is Number Talks. In order for professional learning communities to be effective, they must be beneficial, collaborative, and results oriented. The expected benefits are a sense of unity among the faculty, the ability for teachers to reflect on our practices, which is something we don't often have time to do, and to integrate the latest educational research into our practice. Effective PLCs are also collaborative. Teachers have to get used to having productive conflict. Learning how to disagree and make sure that everyone is heard is important in learning how to have meaningful discourse. Finally, a PLC has to be results oriented. PLCs require a lot of planning and work, and it simply isn't worth all of that if the results aren't worthy of the work that went into it. I decided to center my PLC around number talks because we've seen a decline in math scores from Global Scholar data due to the loss of instruction created by the early release of school last spring during the earlier stages of the pandemic. Number talks are short daily discussions centered around an equation that is done by using mental math. Once students have figured out the answer, multiple students share how they solved the problem. Students quickly realize that there's more than one way to solve a problem, and then they learn new mental math strategies. Guidelines. At the beginning of the year, we will introduce the book that we will be reading, which is Number Talks Matter by Kathy Humphries and Ruth Parker. We'll talk about the purpose of the PLC and make our pre-assessments. Throughout the year, teachers will create problem strands and meet to discuss progress. We'll talk more in detail about that when we look at the timeline. In April, we'll administer a post-assessment and meet to evaluate the overall effectiveness of the PLC. Now let's take a look at our timeline. In August, we'll have the introduction faculty meeting and hand out the book, Number Talks Matter, and teachers will create a pre-assessment. The administrator will conduct the faculty meeting, and then teachers will work together to create the pre-assessment. September, October, and November look very much the same. Grade level meetings will be held bi-weekly. We'll read and discuss 1 or 2 chapters per month, and then we will have 2 meetings. Meeting 1 will be used to develop problem strands to use during that month, and then meeting 2 will be used to discuss student progress and how the number talks are going. Teachers in September will also administer a student pre-assessment. Now in December will be slightly different. We'll conduct mid-year faculty meeting. Grade levels will collaboratively develop mid-year student assessments, and teachers will administer the mid-year assessment. In January, we'll read and discuss Chapter 6, and we'll have 1 grade level meeting to discuss results. January, of course, because of Christmas break, will be a little bit shorter. So 1 meeting is the only one that's necessary. Now, at this point, teachers also will create number talk problem strands to use for the remainder of the year. In February and March, we'll read and discuss 2 more chapters each month, and we'll discuss student progress. In February, teachers will observe co-teachers number talks for the 2nd time, and teachers will work in pairs for that. And then finally in April, we'll read and discuss the last chapter, Chapter 11, and conduct the final faculty meeting to discuss progress. When we assess the success of our PLC, we look at 2 things: student learning and teacher improvement. With students, we expect to see increased numerical reasoning, improved problem solving, and successful subitizing, which means that students are able to break numbers apart in order to solve larger problems. Student assessment. Here is an example of a simple student assessment. Students are being asked to solve a multiplication and division problem without using the standard algorithm. In order to truly assess students' mental math skills, this assessment could be done orally without the student being able to write anything down. However, even in written form, it assesses students' ability to break numbers apart to multiply and divide. This is the rubric that will be used to evaluate students' assessments. Students are placed on a level 1 through 4, with 4 being fully meets standard and 1 being does not meet standard. Both 2 and 3 represent that the student partially met the standard. Now that we've looked at student assessment, let's have a look at how we measure the PLC success from a teacher's perspective. This is the observation form that teachers will use when observing other teachers doing number talks. Teachers can learn so much from each other, and once we've started teaching, we don't often have time to observe other teachers. In completing these observation forms, we will have documentation of teacher learning. Thank you so much for your time.